Look at you. You can sit on that block if you want to lift your hips up a little bit higher. You can, of course. But if you just want to sit on the ground, that works too. Just have that block nearby. And sit up nice and tall. Go ahead and close your eyes when you're ready. And just take a full breath in all the way up to the top. And then maybe even open your mouth, let out a sigh as you breathe out, whether it's big or small. And do that one more time. Big breath in all the way to the top as you sit a little taller. Breathe all the way out until you are empty at the bottom. And so you'll hear me say today, our theme for today is finding your center. So you'll hear me today find your physical center, because that's a really good place to start, because often we don't even know what feeling centered feels like, because we've spent so much time going and going and going, or being pulled in different directions, right, left, up, down. So just find a bit of stillness here and place one hand on top of your belly. One hand right in the center of your chest. And so you can lean into what this physical feeling of center is in your body, right in the middle. Take a breath in and feel that place expand. Breathe all the way out. Notice as you find ease when you empty, and what that feels like. And take two more like that. Big breath in. Breath out. Last one on your own. Can you let it be a little bit bigger? And start to bring your hands back to your knees. And as you sit up tall, take a breath in, maybe even lift your chin. And then a breath out, chin down towards your chest. Adding in a little bit more, take a breath in, lift your chin, but tilt forward and maybe even send your shoulders back to open through your chest. And then a deep breath out to round, almost lean back, and chin comes back to the center of your chest, shoulders forward. One more like that. Inhale, tip forward, lift your chin, lift your chest. And then a deep breath out to lean back and round and drop your head. And whenever you're ready, you'll just sit up tall here. Take one breath in to shrug your shoulders up towards your ears. And then a breath out to let them soften and fall away. And then whenever you're ready, meet me in tabletop pose. And just have that block towards the front of your mat, towards the top of your mat. And with your hands on the ground here, again, spread your fingers really wide, like always, and let the tops of your feet press down into the ground. Feel the top of your head reaching forward. And then revisit that place that is physically your center. So thinking about your core, letting that be your middle, and all of your movements come from that place. So as you send your right leg back behind you, let it float about hip height. You can stay here and try not to sink the belly down. Can you pick it up and in to keep that long line? And then you might even start to reach your left hand forward, away from your right foot. Now take a breath in to pull those two things apart. And then a breath out to bring your elbow and your knee together underneath you towards that sense of center. One more like that. Inhale, pull it apart. Big breath in. And then a breath out to bring it in and round in. Now pull it apart as you inhale. Reach your left hand forward, right foot back. Just set your left hand back down and tuck your right toes onto the ground. That right leg stays long behind you. Now press back through your right heel. That'll feel really nice through the calf. you need to find any other movement side to side here. That might feel good. Now spin your right heel down, and then you can even take your left toes out to the side a little for a little kickstand, and then reach your right hand up. Take a big breath in. And then reach your right hand forward into that modified side plank. Now you might even start to float your right leg. So we start to turn it on a little bit more. Take a breath in, pull fingers and toes apart. And then the breath out to tap elbow and knee together. Do that one more time. Inhale, pull it apart. And then the breath out to bring your elbow and your knee together. Now a fancy move here. You're going to keep your elbow and your knee glued together. Look to the front right corner of your mat. Your right foot will land there. And then you get to reach up into that lunge, reaching both hands high. Drop your right hand down and lean over to the right. And then reach both hands back up. Take a deep breath in. Maybe even hook your thumbs together overhead and take your elbows wide. Lift your chest high here. And then bring your hands down to frame your right foot. Tuck your back toes, lift your knee, look forward. And then right away, spin your back heel down and open up to warrior two. You're not here long. Just take a breath in to maybe even shrug the shoulders. And a breath out to sink in. Now straighten your legs and reach your arms up. Pick your right toes up. You're going to let them parallel the left toes and just fold forward nice and easy here. So you have that wide stance. You can soften your knees because it's early in the hamstrings, maybe sway side to side. And then come back to middle here. Walk your hands underneath your shoulders and just see your right foot. I want you to frame it. Keeping that back leg lifted, your hands stay on the ground, step back to plank pose. Huge breath in here. Now softly bend your knees and almost just let them hover above the ground in plank. Send your hips back and up, downward facing dog, your first one. You can pedal out the feet. You can shake out the hips. Take a breath in to rise up to your toes and feel your hips lift. Now just shift your heart forward, almost like you were coming in through cat pose. See if you can round your upper back as you shift your shoulders forward. And then drop your knees down, tabletop pose. So just getting familiar with that shape, rather than just like pulling straight forward to plank, I want you to start to round your upper back, find your center, and then you pull forward. Okay, so coming back into that tabletop pose, lift your heart, find cow, breathe in. Breathe out to round into cat. Sit back on your heels. Walk your fingertips behind you, and it's that reverse cow shape. You can lift your chest up, maybe even lift your chin. And then come back onto your knees. You'll rise up and reach your hands up and overhead. 2 times to exhale, lean back, engage the belly, engage the legs. 1 more like that. Inhale, rise up. And then you breathe out to lean back. Nice. And then reach up, take a breath in. Bring your hands back down, tabletop pose. And you come right into the other side. Your left leg will come behind you. Right arm can float forward. Take a breath in, pull it apart. And then the breath out, elbow and knee tap together underneath you. 1 more like that. Inhale, pull it apart. And then the exhale brings it in. Now pull it apart as you inhale. Right foot or right hand comes down, left toes tuck under, and press back through your heel here. Let that feel good. You get to spin that heel down, kickstand with the right foot, and then you reach your left hand up. Reach the arm over the ear, maybe let the left leg float. Take a big breath in, pull it apart. Exhale to find your middle part. elbow and knee, cat. Don't see the front left corner, that's where your foot lands. Rising up to that lunge. Start to drop your left hand down. Lean over to the left. And then you'll reach back up. Take a breath in. Hook the thumbs. Make that letter O with the arms around your head and lift your chest towards that. And then bring your hands down, framing your front foot. Tuck the back toes. Lift the knee. Spin the back heel down. It's your warrior two. Opening up strong through your front leg. Take that breath in to stay. The breath out to deepen. Now straighten your legs, reach the arms high, pick the left toes up. Let them parallel the right and bring your hands to your hips here this time. Take a breath in to lift your chest high. And then the exhale to hinge at the hips and fold forward, dropping the hands, dropping the head, swaying side to side if you need. Find your halfway lift. Walk your hands underneath your shoulders. And see your left foot, you get to frame it into that lunge. Stepping back to plank. Like you did before, soft bend in the knees, let them hover. And then just send your hips back and up. Downward facing dog. So we're going to take 3 water wheels, we call them. So rise up to your toes as you inhale. Now think about rounding like cat. So leading with the back of your heart as you pull forward through plank. Soft bend in the knees like you did before, hips back and up, downward facing dog. Now we match movement with breath. Inhale, lift the heels, pull forward to that plank, nice and slow. And then the exhale softens the knees, pulls you back, downward facing dog. Last one, breathe in, rise, pull forward. And then exhale, bend the knees, hips back and up, down dog. Take a breath in right here. Drop your knees down, tabletop pose. Right into cow, lift the heart, breathe it in. Exhale, round into cat, press the ground away. Sit back on your heels. Walk your fingertips behind you. It's that reverse cow. You can lift the chest, maybe even lift the seat. And then sit back on your heels just for a moment. And then you rise up onto your knees. Take a big breath in. Just one time, you lean back and reach your hands forward. Now reach your hands back up. Hands come back to the ground, tabletop pose. Now we revisit all of that, but we add on just a little bit more. So send your right leg behind you. Your left fingertips reach forward. Take a breath in, pull it apart. Just one time, elbow and knee, they draw together underneath you. Nice, pull it apart, take a breath in. Left hand will plant, tuck the right toes onto the ground. Spin your heel down, reach the right arm up as you inhale. Now exhale to reach forward and lift the right leg. Take a breath in to stay, pull it apart. Now one time, bring elbow and knee together. Look to the front right corner, land your right foot there. Reach both hands up, big breath in. Drop your right hand down and lean over to the right. Now reach both hands high as you inhale. Bring your hands down, framing your right foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the knee off the ground. Spin your heel down, open up, warrior two. Right away, straighten the legs, reach the arms high, pick the right toes up, let them parallel the left. And then hands through the center as you fold and you bow the chest. Right into a halfway lift here. Bring your chest parallel to the ground. Now you bend your left knee. Your right leg stays long. Ardha Skandasana, we call it. So if you want, your right hand can come underneath your nose. Left hand can come to your low back and then look to the left. A little bit of a twist here. Take one more breath in. Bring your left hand back down. Come back to warrior two towards the front of your mat. Your right knee will bend.
Looking over your right fingertips. Reverse your warrior. Right hand, reach it up to the sky. Find extended side angles so your right forearm can come to your thigh. Or if you want a little more, your block can come into your right hand. And you can place it inside your right foot, but it's not a requirement. Reach your left arm over your ear. See if you can spin your right ribs forward in front of you a little bit more. Take one more inhale wherever you are. Back to warrior two. Nice. Now wiggle your left fingertips. You're going to swing them down in front of you. Reach forward towards the front of your mat and then pick your left heel up. So just coming into a high lunge here. Reach high as you breathe in. Soften your back knee and send your left hand forward. Your right hand goes behind you. Just a gentle twist. Now reach your right arm back up. Let it cross on top of the left. Lift your fingertips. It's eagle arms here. Now maybe start to pour more weight into that right foot. Stand up and bring your left knee with you. Let it stack on top. Full eagle pose. You're not here long, just for 3. Really access that center right here, hugging your inner thighs together, 2. Stay with your breath. Last one. You get to unravel it all and just stamp that left foot on the ground. Reach your hands all the way up. Take a big breath in. Sit back into chair pose. Stay. 2 rounds of breath, lifting through the heart. Sitting back every exhale. Huge breath in. Big breath out. And then you fold forward. Let everything go. Maybe even shake out your head, yes and no. Take your halfway lift as you breathe. And start to plant your hands down. Step back to that plank pose. Soft bend in the knees. Hips back and up. Downward facing dog. Big breath in right here. Bigger breath out. You empty. Rising up onto your toes. Dropping to your knees. Tabletop pose. And then right to the other side. Left leg goes behind you. Send your right hand forward. Take that big breath in. Pull it apart. And then the exhale, elbow and knee, they draw together underneath you. Now pull it apart as you inhale. Right hand comes down, left toes tuck under, spin that heel down, reach your left arm up. Now you're coming into that modified side plank and reach the arm forward. Pick the left leg up. Take a breath in right here. Elbow and knee, they tap together. See the front left corner, your foot will land. Reach both hands up. Now let it feel good, maybe a roll of the wrist. As you drop the left hand down, lean over to the left. Reach both hands high. And then bring your hands down, framing your foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the knee off the ground. Spin your heel down, open up to that warrior 2 shape. And then right away you get to straighten the legs, reach the arms up. Parallel the feet. One last time here, just to take your arms down along your sides and start to interlace your hands behind you. See if you can start to press your palms together. Then maybe straighten the arms, only if that feels good. Or keep your elbows bent. Take a breath in, lift your chest. Hinge at the hips to fold forward. Bow everything down. Take one more breath in with or without that bind. And release. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders, halfway lift. Now it's your right knee that gets to bend here. Your left leg stays long. Left hand can come onto the ground and your right hand, bring it to your low back. Make sure it's nice and even here, and then you look to the right. So you twist from there, keeping your sacrum, your low back parallel to the ground. Take one more inhale. Bring your right hand back down, warrior two, back to the front of your mat. Right into reverse warrior here. Your left hand will rise. Then your extended side angle, either forearm to your side or to that block inside the foot, reaching your top arm forward. Stay here, stay strong in the legs. Can you even press through your back foot a little bit more as you take one more breath in, reach away from there, and then back to warrior two as you empty. Now wiggle your right fingertips, swing them down in front of you. Now as you start to reach forward, you pick that back heel up, wiggle walk your front foot as wide as you need it to be so you come into that high lunge, softening the back knee. Reach up as you inhale, twist to the left, right hand can go forward, left hand can reach behind you. Now reach the left hand back up. Let it cross on top of the right. Bending the elbows, lifting the fingertips, and you find your eagle pose. Bringing the right knee with you to let it stack on top. And can you stand really tall here? Thinking about that center line just for two. Last one. Unravel it all. Take a moment in your mountain pose. So stamp both feet on the ground, arms down along your sides, palms facing forward. Shrug your shoulders as you inhale. Maybe even take that big sigh out on your exhale and let them soften. When you're ready, you stay or you sit back into chair pose. Your final chair pose here. So you reach your arms up, sink a little bit lower. One more breath in. And then you fold and bow the chest, shaking it all out. Maybe even take the feet a little wider and just sway the arms for ragdoll pose. Nice bend in the knees. Start to find a halfway lift here. Hands can come to your shins, heart can go forward. And then your big exhale to plant your hands. Step back to plank pose here. And this time, drop your knees down, but lower all the way down to your belly. Your toes point back, hands along your sides here. You just lift your chest up, finding cobra. Use the exhale to lower you back down. And take your hands a little wider, tent them. You'll lift the chest up, wide cobra. Lower all the way down. Hands underneath your shoulders. Find child's pose. So press back through your knees. Your hips come back towards your heels. And you let your forehead melt onto your mat. You might even rock your head side to side. Take a moment of pause here. Notice where your mind wants to go, where it wants to travel to. And over your next breath or two, shift your way back forward, hands and knees, tabletop pose. One last time here to lift the chest up. Take a breath in, finding cow. And then you exhale to round into cat. Sit back on your heels, walk your fingertips back, you lift the chest. This time, maybe even lift the seat. And then you'll sit back down, rising up onto your knees, reach up, take that breath in. One time, just use the exhale to tip back. You'll rise up. Bring your hands back to that tabletop position and send your right leg behind you. Now, a little bit different. This time, I want you to bend your knee 90 degrees. Press your heel up towards the sky without letting the belly sink down. So it's not a back bend. It's all the work is happening in that back leg. Now, as you exhale, let that right knee cross and just tap outside the leg. Knee. Just a little cross, but it's that idea that you're just bringing it open back. And then again, handy, if you want it underneath your hands inside that right foot, I like a little bit of lift. You get to bring like the earth up to you on any height that you need. So you can really start to feel your chest lifting up. You get more of a stretch in that back hip. Now, if you want even more here, you can start to turn your right toes out to think about 2 o'clock. And then your left hand can stay on the ground or on that block and bring your right hand to your right thigh. Maybe even look over to the right. I'm finding any movement in the neck. That feels good. A little bit more of a twist if that feels better. If you want to bend that back knee, grab for your foot. Also an option. Take one more breath in wherever you are in this lizard shape. And then release it. Bring your hands inside your foot, but turn your toes back forward, your right toes. Keep that knee on the ground, but just shift your hips back. And you can start to lengthen the right leg. Take a breath in to reach your heart forward. And then the exhale bows your chest forward. Do that one more time. Inhale, heart lifts forward. And then the exhale to let it lower. And you're just coming back forward. You're going to plant your hands on the ground. You might even bring that back knee a little closer so you can access the low belly. You're going to press down through your hands. See if you can pick your right foot up, bring your knee towards your tricep. And then you'll send that leg back behind you, straight back. Now bend the knee 90 degrees. Like you did at the beginning here, start to send your right knee behind the left. This time you squeeze your inner thighs together, your feet will go wide. Now think like a child's pose. Send your hips back with your knees crossed. Stay here, take a round of breaths. And then you'll shift back forward. And then you unravel the legs, come back into tabletop pose. If you need a round of cat-cow, of course, you take it. If you need to sit back on your heels and roll out the wrists, can be a lot on the wrists, just in that one direction, take that. And then you'll switch to the other side when you're ready. Your left leg goes back. You bend the knee 90 degrees. Press the heel up, take a breath in. And then cross the knee over to the right this time, right behind the left. One more like that. Inhale, send it up with that bent knee. And then exhale to let it cross. Now take a breath in, lift it back up. Bring your left knee towards your left elbow this time. Now bring it up a little higher towards your tricep. Right foot outside the left hand, or excuse me, your left foot outside the left hand. Your right knee goes back just a little more. Hands can stay where they are or bring them to a block to lift your chest. And if you want a little more, all those same options are there. You can turn your left toes out slightly. Think 10 o'clock this time. Your right hand can even stay on the block or the ground, or your left hand can start to come into the inside or the top of your left thigh to draw it open. Maybe you find a twist. You might even grab for the back foot. Take one more breath in where you are. Gently release it. Turn your left toes back forward and just shift your hips back to lengthen your left leg. Take that big breath in. Bow the chest. One more like that. Reach your heart forward. Bow the chest down. And then you're just coming back forward, bending through your left knee. Bring that right knee a little bit closer underneath you so you can really press down through the hands, through that knee, to pick the left knee up towards your tricep. And send it back, straight back. Your left leg goes behind you. Now you bend the knee again. Cross the knee behind the right, feet wide. And like that child's pose shape with crossed knees, you just send your hips back. And then you shift back forward. You unravel the legs. A round of cat-cow if you need it. One last one. And then you'll just meet me in a seat. So sit off to the side. Swing your legs around in front of you. Give them a little bit of a shake. Now bring your block, if you have it. So once you're in a seat, you'll bring your block in between your inner thighs. And then once you're there, see if you can squeeze your inner thighs towards that block to activate your legs. So your legs are so strong here, and you sit up tall and you reach your fingertips forward. See if you can hug that block in and slowly, one vertebra at a time, you find the ground. Once you're there, arms down along your sides, bend your knees, plant your feet, and keep that block in between your thighs here. Squeeze it in. Press down through your feet and lift your feet. So an active bridge pose. You're using that block to find your physical center. Hold it here for 3. Strong, steady breath with the back of your head even on the ground. Last 2. Last 1. And then you slowly release. Remove that block off to the side. You can heel toe your feet a little wider. Knock your knees together. Return to that one hand on your belly, one hand on your chest. Closing your eyes. Take a breath in, feel your belly, your ribs, your chest expand. Breathe all the way out to empty and to land. Take your knees, draw them in towards your armpits.
You can keep a hold of your knees or your shins, and maybe a little rock side to side to feel your low back release into the ground as you rock. Now drop your feet back to the ground. I want you to pick your hips up and just scoot them 2 inches to the left. Now pick your knees into your chest just for a moment. Your arms come out like goalposts and let both knees fall over to the right. Just a simple twist here. Bring your knees back through center just for a moment. Plant your feet back down. Now pick your hips up. Send them 4 inches over to the right. Knees in and let them fall to the left. Bring yourself back through center. Plant your feet. Lift your feet and just readjust where your low back lands, and take your legs long. Reach your arms overhead. See if you can point your toes forward and reach your fingertips away from there. I think this long body stretch here. Take 1 more breath in. And start to release your arms down along your sides. You can even grab that block if you want. A little gentle inversion. You can bend your knees, lift your seat and slide that block right underneath, and lift your seat, or lift your feet rather up towards the sky. Maybe wiggle your toes, roll out your ankles. If you have a wall nearby and you want to lift your legs and let them land on that wall, you can, of course. Close your eyes here and just take about 5 to 10 rounds of your own breath. If you need to soften the knees, of course you can. Notice if you're holding tension in the jaw, let that soften. Whenever you're ready, you can stay here, or if you'd like, planting your feet back down, removing that block, bringing it off to the side, and you find your final rest, your full Shavasana. So letting your arms go down along your sides, legs long, shoulders soft, face soft. Even your thoughts, your mind, let them soften as well. Give yourself permission to land in this stillness. And come back to center. That place in you that is still, calm, quiet, and connected. Your center is a place you can trust. It connects the body, the mind, your heart, and even your soul. It connects truth and your inner voice. And your best work comes from that place. Your insights, awareness, and guidance come from being there at that place. Your best decisions and even your finest moments come from that place. So learn what it feels like to be centered, to be balanced, but also learn what it feels like to feel off center, and learn to tell the difference. Then learn to come back to center as quickly as possible. It's hard to find a place we've never been to. So learn what it feels like to be centered. Know that your center is in you, and go there often. From that place of center, let your next breath be just a little bit bigger than the last. Send your breath to your fingers and all the way down to your toes. Maybe it's one last long body stretch here, reaching your arms over your head, pointing your toes forward. And just bringing your knees into your chest, you'll roll to your side and you'll bring yourself up to a seat. Sitting up nice and tall, just where you started. Taking that breath in, filling all the way up. That long sigh out as you empty. Bring your hands together in front of your chest. And slightly bow your chin towards that space. Knowing that you have the ability to come back to your center whenever you need to, and you can go from there. Make choices from there. React from there. And bring your thumb tips to the center of your forehead. Remembering to be kind to yourself so you can show up and be kind for others. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. As always.